Before we go any further, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon, because without their help, none of this upgraded content that you'd be seeing would be possible. Over on the Patreon, you get exclusive sneak peeks at upcoming videos. You also get access to the Patreon only Discord server. Coming up soon, I'm going to be working on talking about other anime that I can't talk about here on YouTube, like say ReZero, Konosuba, and etc. I'm also going to start posting the scripts for video essays, and every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul. We also are going to open up the Patreon only Discord server to YouTube members at the $2 price tier, which also means that members will be seeing their name here alongside the patron. But with that being said, let's get back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another review for Sasuke Retsuden Chapter 6.1, and today's chapter has quite a bit of a breakdown, so if you haven't already read the chapter over on Manga Plus or the Shonen Jump app, go ahead and do so. Now, for those of you guys who are wondering, why is this chapter 6.1 and not just chapter 6, it's because Sasuke Retsuden is doing what Spy Family and a few other bi-weekly series actually do, which is it'll break up certain chapters as a 0.1 or a 0.2 or a 0.3 until all the main story points for that chapter are finished, because it's too much to fit into one chapter itself. Given the fact that we just adapted the first half of chapter 5 of the Sasuke Retsuden novel in manga format in this chapter, it looks like we're going to be getting the second half of the chapter in chapter 6.2 in 2 weeks time. So the overall number of chapters this manga is going to have is, at a bare minimum, going to have more than likely 11 chapters. But given the rest of the story, I could see Kimura Shingo breaking up another chapter in this series into this format of 0.1 and 0.2 so as to give a full extra volume of content due to what happens when we get the big action sequences in a few chapters. With all that being said, let's back things up a little bit and let's get into the review, and then let's further break things down to unpack all the ninja deception trickery that we have in the chapter. So the chapter opens up exactly where the last one left off, where we see Sasuke looking at the chickens and the fossils in the cellar, and as Sasuke begins to wonder what it is that he's looking at, Zansoro opens up the door, calling out to see if there's anyone in the room. But when he enters the room, Sasuke is suddenly gone. It's then that we see some classic part 1 Naruto ninja trickery, and the story continues the layer of the theme that a ninja must learn to see past deception, and we see it's fully upon us, because the Sasuke who accompanied Sakura to Zansoro's office and used that transformation jutsu and went into that cellar, it was merely a shadow clone. The real Sasuke was working on the other side of the prison, in the prison yard, the entire time. Meanwhile, Sakura is now back in her office and receives a letter from Kakashi, who gives her an update on his mission on the other side of Redaku, where the Prime Minister has seemingly joined forces with the Queen and invaded a village, but the Prince is planning a coup d'etat, which, for reference, Kakashi is part of that coup d'etat attempt as well, and I've covered that Kakashi story, which occurs alongside this story, in my Kakashi Retsuden playlist, which I'll leave at the end of the video for those of you guys who might want more information on the massive battle that Kakashi's about to have with 300 mercenaries and ninjas. This leads to Sakura realizing that the assets that the Prime Minister was asking about were meant to help with the pending war that was about to take place in the Redaku country. Sakura immediately sends word back to Kakashi everything that she knows and rushes to meet Sasuke to share the info that she's found, but much to her disappointment, Sasuke is nowhere to be seen, and when she sits down at the table, Sasuke's elderly cellmate Gano sits down to join her, making all the other cellmates in the room jealous in the process, because a ton of them were simping over Sakura as she was sitting down. And after making small talk about astrology, Gano gets right down to it and reveals that he knows that Sakura is married to Sasuke, and that he didn't need to hear the way that she was describing her husband in order to know that it was Sasuke. But interestingly enough, it's because he recognized her hair color and noticed that she was sitting at the same table that Sasuke used to sit down at when he would look at the tree outside. Now, for a bit of exposition, this wasn't something that was focused on too much in the prologue for the manga, but when Sasuke in the novel arrives at the prison, he looks out at the tree because it has a pink cherry blossom on it, and as he looks at it, he starts thinking about Sakura in order to stay calm over the anger he's feeling over Naruto's chakra illness killing him. So what we have here is we see that Gano was able to put the pieces together just from being that elderly old wise guy that you see in anime, but also because it goes back to part one Naruto, basic ninja tactics and principles, which is that a ninja must always learn to see past deception. What's in front of you isn't actually what's in front of you. It's then that we see Sakura shifting from blushing as she realizes that Sasuke took time out to think about her, to Sakura sitting back at her office, and we see that big brain of hers crack that puzzle left behind by the Sage's Six Paths because she saw through the deception, or as Boruto has people saying, the hidden meaning behind the hidden meaning. The map left behind by Hagoromo, the artwork on the cards, there are hidden meanings inside of them. Surface level, you look at it and you say that the animals, they're the Biju, the creature coming out the ground, that was the Ten Tails. The shepherd was the Sage's Six Paths, and the other man on the card was the astronomer who Hagoromo visited when he was in Redaku. However, Sakura sees through all this deception. She recognized that they're also serving as hand seals, the 12 star signs and the 12 hand seals. However, there's also more to it as well, because there's a pattern left behind in order to weave the hand signs, and there are 2 sets of hand signs to be woven, but it depends on the conditions on when you use them. What we're seeing here is exactly what Sakura brings to the mission, and why people such as myself who've read the story have repeatedly said going into this, if Sakura wasn't on this mission, Sasuke would have failed it, period. Meanwhile, Sasuke is on top of the rooftop picking the fruit that has been shipped from the capital, and Sasuke, after hearing that they don't get any of this fruit in their meals, just starts taking bites out of it while Gigi's talking to him. And we see again the common theme of this novel, and by extension this manga, which is that a ninja must learn to see past deception, because as Gigi is speaking to Sasuke, we see Sasuke looking out at the lake, and when he learns that a meteor fell from the sky and made the crater that became the lake, the light bulb goes off in his head, and he realizes that the meteor that fell to the sky is the very same meteor connected to the Sage's Six Paths when he gained access to the polar particles that Sasuke and Sakura are in search of, so Naruto's chakra illness can be cured. Upon realizing all this, Sasuke makes the excuse that his stomach is upset and offers Gigi a trade for kitchen duty if he covers him, and Sasuke and Sakura then make contact in the stairwell, with Sakura revealing the intel that she broke down. She breaks things down further by saying that when a terminally ill Hagoromo split the meteor in half by hiding the polar particles, it's said that one of them was the star that never strays and the other one was the star that fell to the earth. Sasuke interjects by saying, well, of course, that's why you need the map. But Sakura takes a step further by saying that Hagoromo likely used ninjutsu during this process to hide the polar particles, and that the signs needed to release the jutsu are hidden inside the map itself. However, there's a twist that Sasuke points out, which is that they don't know which hand signs to weave, and they don't know what the actual order of the hand signs needs to be. But Sakura's already figured that out as well. Sakura is going for that MVP right now. So Sakura breaks down this is exactly what the card game that the Sage's Six Paths created using those actual signs was for. The strongest combination of cards, which is called Star, is the order of the hand seals needed to break the seal on the first polar particle, and the second strongest card, which is called Earth, is the order of the hand seals needed to break the seal on the polar particle that fell to Earth. And the only thing Sakura doesn't know is where Hagoromo hit the polar particle on Earth. But Sasuke, in typical Sasuke fashion, has the other bit of intel that Sakura didn't actually have at that point in time, and he tells her that he'll meet her after the lights go out because he knows the true location. And that's where the chapter ends off, which is very fitting, because going into this chapter, I went into it thinking that this is going to be a very long chapter, or that Kimura Shingo was going to have to cut out too much important information, because this was a foreshadowing, very heavy chapter, but it's buried beneath all the deception, much like a lot of what we've seen in the other chapters, which based off of a lot of the comments I've been reading, a lot of you guys who are experiencing this story for the first time have overlooked the same things that got overlooked by a lot of the OG viewers on this channel who were with me when I covered this story in a similar fashion, reviewing it piece by piece in the same way that the manga chapters are coming out. A lot of them overlook the very same thing that you guys are overlooking right now, which is that there's been a ton of foreshadowing buried beneath all this husband and wife stuff that you've been seeing. And while we've seen Sasuke and Sakura work very well together as a team, there's a reason why you don't see husband and wives or parents and children going out on missions together very often, and part of the reason for this has been subtly placed in our faces throughout the last 2 chapters, which is going to make the huge plot twist that's coming ahead so great, because who as strong as Sasuke and Sakura are, they could go through and kill everybody in this prison. The thing about the ninja world is that power means nothing if one falls into the deception that's hidden in plain sight. For as much as these two have seen through the puzzles and the deception left behind in the clues that Hagoromo left in plain sight, there are things that both Sasuke and Sakura, and by extension a lot of manga readers reading this story who don't know how the story ends, have begun to overlook. That being said, I love the slow burn approach that we're taking making here. It's another sign that you don't necessarily need action to tell a good story, but there's good building up of tension working its way through the story, and things are very close to exploding very soon. I've been holding off on using this phrase that a ninja must learn to see past deception because I wanted to wait until we got to this part right here, because now is a good time to go back and reread the chapters. If you want to see the plot twist that's going to be coming in a few chapters, if we continue with this pacing that we have, or if you want to see the signs hidden in plain sight about the puzzle that Sakura just solved that Hagoromo left behind, you'll pick up on a lot of stuff if you go back and reread everything. Overall, this was another very well drawn chapter by Komura Shingo. There was great flow in this chapter, and there were times where the shading was used to add extra touches to the artwork, and most importantly, the use of speed lines throughout the entire manga so far has been kept to a minimum, and when it's used, it's to reveal shock or comedy, or it's been used in small bits meant to draw your focus to expressions or draw your focus to certain things around the characters or on the characters themselves. Hopefully he's given another crack at more light novels being drawn in manga format in the future, because I can see why Masashi Kishimoto handpicked this kid to draw the manga. He's got a lot of potential, especially when you consider how young he is. So my chapter question to you guys is, how many of you guys figured out the message behind the cards before it was revealed today, assuming you didn't read the novel? And my second question is, how do you feel about the fact that yet another person inside the prison has figured out that Sasuke and Sakura were married? While you think that over, click here to watch the videos from Kakashi Retsuden if you're curious about what Kakashi's doing while this story's taking place, or click here to watch my latest Chainsaw Man video.